Alright guys, so we're back here. We're fixing to put together one of the pumps. Got all my parts here. Thrust valve, thrust washer. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the housing here. And the first thing we got to put in the housing is we got to put this this little returned or selector shaft. It's got to go in before anything else. And so what we're going to do here, we're going to just oil it really good. We're going to slide in. Now we've taken and cleaned it up real well where to go through the bushing. Make sure it's turned in the down direction. Alright, so we got it. It's rotating really good. Alright, so we have our seal kit here now. There's a lot of extra seals in this seal kit. I guess it's for multiple pumps. You kind of got to find the one that fits this shaft well. Just kind of tap it down in there. Alright, everything still turns good. And then there's these little spring locks. And there's two of those, and you got to get the right one. Looks like it right there. Same thing, you just kind of just work it down. Alright, so you got a seal and a spring lock or a lock on the outside of the seal. Alright, so we're done with that. So now we can set our part. Well, next thing we want to do is put together our shaft. Okay, so I've polished up the shaft a little bit. Now, the first thing that goes on is a 6203 bearing. Now, X-Mark or Hydra Gear, this bearing costs $27. From McMaster, it costs $4.50, and it's probably a better bearing than what you get. So just place it on the shaft, and it needs to be pressed on. So we're going to back up over here to the first of all, I got to find a bushing to press it on with. Alright guys, so we got this bearing on, and what we're going to use to press it on with, we're just going to use our arbor press, and we're going to use this pulley here to push it onto the shaft with. Alright, so there's our press fit, and first thing we want to do is we want to put some oil in that bearing. We don't like to turn the bearing without oil in it, and that'll give it some lube to start out with. So it goes into the housing. Alright, so we got it in the housing. The next thing that comes in was a little flat washer. It goes in. Alright, your little flat washer goes in. I don't know if that's for thrust or just to keep it off the seal. Alright, and then we need our seal. Okay, our seal goes in. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to put a little oil on the seal just to kind of help it go in. Put a little oil into. Never hurts to have too much oil. And this just slides up on it. And it goes in just like that. And the next thing is our, this is the old clamp, and out with the old and in with a new. And these things can be tricky. Set it right here. That looks like it clipped right on in. But just to make sure, we're going to walk around it. Alright, so got our seal, bearing, and a spacer in there, and our clip. So the bottom end of this is done. Alright, so now we're going to mount it in a vise. I'm not even going to tighten it up. I do want to turn it where I can see though. Alright, the first thing I want to do down here is I'm going to go ahead and put some oil down in here on everything. Does two things. One, it helps lubricate and it helps things stick together a little better. Alright, so we have this little guide. It's got to come down here and get on this shaft. Okay, and that's what drives our switch block. All right, so our switch block is next, and the same thing. Just add a little oil in places. Now I put it in the bottom, so I really don't need it on the block itself. And what you're trying to do is there you go. All right, so show you that we fit that into that block, and that switch plate moves back and forth like that. Okay. My finger's off. All right, so we got new bearings and the switch plate in. Now here's our old 6203, and throw it away. All right, so next is our thrust bearing, and there's our old thrust bearing. And these, I could not find an alternative for it. I know there's one out there, but I ended up buying from Exmark. You have the bottom race, the upper race, and then the bearing set. So again, we're going to take and we're going to come in here and oil surface. Well, I'll tell you what, before we do that, let's put this spring and this washer on. Alright, and then we're going to take our thrust bearing, the side that's got the number, okay? This way it came out, so I hope that it might not matter, but I'm putting them back in the way it came out. Alright, then we're going to place some oil on top of that thrust bearing. And we're going to drop our bearing in, we're going to oil our bearing. Okay, and then we got our upper thrust bearing, our upper race. We're going to put it in there. Now, here's where oil comes in handy. We're going to oil this real good to make it sticky as it can be. Because now we have to put in the piston assembly. And we're going to take and oil our pistons. Just drop in every hole. Alright. So, this has to come out. And the reason I put all that oil in there is because when I turn it sideways, either that thrust washer wants to fall out or either these pins. So I want to cheat it a little bit and try to keep them all together. There we go. Something ain't right. Let's pull this back apart. I think we got a pin or something that didn't go down. Yeah, there we go. Like all of them. Alright, let's try that again. See what I mean? Alright, so let's try this. Put some more oil on it, kind of make it sticky again. Missed it again. Now everything falls out. Yeah, this is the part that's probably the biggest pain in the whole thing. Ah, we got it that time. I guess fits in here one way it will fit. Let's see, here we go. So everything looks good. Got the spring going. All right, so let's find our gasket. And it's the one that's got the little odd shape to it. And it goes on like this. Now we got our head. We have two guide pins. All right, and the head goes on. The printed side gets the A and the B valves. So we want to make sure this is really clean. And anything that can be in the way, out of the way. Go down over your shaft, and then your head's on. All right. Now all these valves and all are just sitting in here, and I'll tell you why in a minute. All right, so now we need our bolts. Same thing. Let's take and lube them up a little bit. All right, we're just compressing that spring and getting a couple bolts down. Another thing about these pumps, it's the strangest thing, 90% of it is standard threads, imperial threads, and these 4 bolts and one other thing is metric. So, the plugs in the side of the head are metric. We're just going to snug them all down. All right, there's 2 things we want to know right now. So we want to make sure we can turn the shaft. I can turn it by hand with this towel. All right, so put it back in place here. All right, on the sides here we got our and I had these in here because I had them all marked and I wanted to keep up with them in the right holes. Well, anyway, this is a all right, guys, these are called shock valve check valves, and they go in on this side, and there's one on either side. Like I said, I was just trying to keep everything in the same general location. And they get torqued to 180 inch-pounds. All right, same thing for this side. It's not very much. All right, so then the next thing we have is this little valve right here. And it goes in here, and it gets torqued to 130 inch-pounds, so we need to back off with the torque wrench a little bit. There we go. All right, so got those three in. The next thing we're going to work on, this nozzle needs to turn right there. We have a lock nut right here. Okay. This nozzle needs to turn 90 degrees, and lock nut. Right there. All right. So, got everything on the outside. Now, we need to work on this auxiliary pump. All right, so we need the check valve. Check valve ball goes in there, and again, let's take our oiler, even though it falls down, just drop a drop of oil in there. A little spring. All right. We should have a pump gear. Okay, if we're missing that, we're in trouble. For some reason I left it in the bucket. Okay. Clean it up real well. Make sure there's dirt on it. And it goes in. Like so. Again, let's oil our surfaces apart. All right. So now we got the auxiliary pump housing. Now I know by looking at it that this end, plus I marked them, that this end goes over the valve. You put this in wrong because this is off-centered. If you look, that cam action of this piece here is what pumps. So this side goes to the spring. We need to find its gasket out of our pack of multiple gaskets that we're not going to use. Let's see if this is it. Nope, that one ain't quite big enough. Like I said, I think these kits fit multiple pumps. Alright. So this goes on just basically like, make sure that valve is in a good place. So really want to see what we got here. We'll put our key in and our pulley. Turns fine. All right. Alright, the only thing that's left to do is to install I guess it would help if I put it on correctly. That goes up and this goes up. And that's your control valve. Alright guys, that's that one. Alright guys, there you have it. 2 hydro gear pump rebuilds. We have yet to see if they're going to work though. But anyway, they should. There shouldn't be a problem. You can, while you turn it, you can hear it trying to pump. Now, these pumps are around $600 a piece. You can get them a little cheaper, according where you get them from, between, let's say, $450 and $750 is what they range. I have the thrust washers, the 2 thrust washers were $37, and the seal kits were like maybe $50. I can't remember. Maybe they were cheaper than that. Anyway, I think the seal kits were around 50 bucks. So that was 2 seal kits, 2 thrust washers, and the bearings, like I said, were $4.50 each. So we got, you know, less than $100 in rebuilding both of these pumps. Will they work? I don't know. Now I still got a couple things that need to come in. There's some little tiny O-rings that go right here on these hydraulic lines. So I've ordered those, and they'll be here in a few days. So then we'll put the pump in. I hope everything works fine. We'll see in a few days. So I've already taken the lines apart, cleaned all the lines, cleaned the tank, cleaned everything I can. I'm waiting on an oil filter. It should be here today. But when we get all the stuff in, it'll probably be in the next video. We'll have them in place, and hopefully the motor back in place, and we can crank it up and run these motors and run these pumps. All right, guys, I guess that'll do it. That'll be a wrap. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank everybody for hitting the like button and everybody for subscribing. It's been a real taxing last few weeks since my dad had passed away, and you know, this keeps me going, occupied. So, update on my mom. She's doing fine. She actually went back to work. She's been retired for 10 years, but somebody offered her a job, and she took a job and went back to work, and she's doing well. So, I want to thank everyone for the prayers and for the concern, and you know, it helps out. So, guys, from the Backyard Machine Shop, so long.